Hello, everyone. How's it going today? Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. It's 11 p.m. on the eastern side of the world. I mean, the western side of the world, the eastern side of the continent. My name is Moisos, and I'm joined here by the wonderful Nystagmus. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. 8 p.m. here on the West Coast.
Best Coast, right?
So, yeah,
Jealous. What's it like to be in the past? Do you have
in the
dinosaurs where you
past.
are? Yeah.
Not quite that far back, but at least if Y2K ever comes back again, then we know who gets hit first.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we have flying ships over, or yeah, like hovercrafts here on the East Coast. It's really cool. You should be 3 hours ahead. It's way better. Anyway, there's been new content that's been announced on Civilization. It's incredibly exciting. On Monday, they came out with the new Frontier Pass, a year long of scheduled content that will be
yeah.
released bi-monthly for all Civilization players. They both have premium content and free content, and they announced 2 months worth of premium content, and we're going to be talking about that and as well as the
Mhm.
other content that we think is going to happen in this new Frontier Pass. So
Yeah.
why don't we get straight into the nitty gritty of it and let's talk about the first month, which is May 21st. It's actually
Mhm.
really soon. Do you want to go into detail as I kind of pull it up?
Yeah, so in May, that's going to be called the Maya and Grand Columbia Pack. So that's actually something a lot of people were pretty excited about. Everyone was talking about whether or not Grand Columbia was going to come back into Civilization. So you're going to get those two civilizations and the two leaders. And then they're going to introduce a new game mode, which is going to shake things up a little bit, especially on our show, I think, if we actually play it, which is the Apocalypse game mode. So apparently, normal civilization, you have natural disasters, so floods, coastal flooding, tornadoes, hurricanes, volcanoes. They're going to add in new natural disasters that are a lot more catastrophic. So the example I saw was a comet that can basically just level one of your cities.
Right,
I
dude,
haven't
that took
seen
out an entire thing. Sorry, I'm like messing around with all this. Okay, it took out an entire city, man. It was crazy. It was like
Now, unfortunately, that's the only thing I saw. I don't know if they have anything else in store. Like maybe what I'm thinking of things
dinosaurs.
like, um, well, for I'm talking about for like the apocalypse mode.
Well, I mean, they had a
Well,
meteor, so I figured there might be
yeah,
dinosaurs. I don't
I'm thinking things
know.
like, what if there's like a solar flare that takes down like all your electricity in the late game?
Oh,
Something
interesting.
interesting too, right? So like comets, solar flares. Um, I, I'm trying to think of like these catastrophic possible world-ending things. Maybe they might have things like plagues.
They already
I know
have
that.
a plague game mode, the Black
Oh, they
Plague, and
do.
yeah, you
Okay.
can.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah,
remember,
yeah.
we talked about we should play that during the COVID thing, and we're like,
Hmm.
yeah. So they do have it. I played a little bit of it. It's very challenging. It's very difficult to keep your city alive during the whole thing. So you can build like plague doctors and everything to it's strange. It's really weird. It's like
Yeah,
picture radiation, but with plague instead. So you have to build plague doctors to like eradicate the
I sure
plague
was.
in certain tiles.
Yeah,
It's
that was a good call on our part. That is too soon, so we'll have to just
maybe by
put that
now
one
it's
shot.
a little
Yeah.
eased up a little bit. So maybe we could do it now. Or
Um,
yeah,
but
back
yeah, I'm
to
really interested. Yeah,
Frontier.
I'm pretty interested in how this apocalypse game mode is supposed to work. Like, how random it's going to be, how often it's going to be, like, or if you can just dial it up like you can for the other natural disasters, which would
I think it's
be
just an additional natural
insanity.
disaster. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Go
And
ahead.
so yeah, so that's the first pack in May that we're going to get, and they're going to get, of course, new city states, new resources. So I guess those would be like the bonus resources, like cattle's a bonus resource, or milk is a bonus resource, things like that. With other content that we've come to expect. But and then in July, looks like we get the Ethiopia pack, so that's the other civilization new leader as well. And then this one is kind of like a weird name for it, and I wonder what they're going to do with it, which is
Yeah.
Secret Societies game mode.
Is it like
So
a
is that
bunch
going to
of
be like
spies? Like that's what kind of comes to my mind, right?
what I'm thinking of was like the Illuminati and Freemasons kind of thing as
Oh,
well, maybe like these
oh.
weird pins or whatever that you can get that
Right.
could like I don't know how they would do it, but like would they act like spies? They would infiltrate into like a society where you would get like permanent spies because like they're high up officials or something like that.
Maybe I don't like it's super it is super secretive. It's super mysterious. I did initially think just like a spy game, but that doesn't make much sense to me. Um, but these could be like, so they experimented with kind of like the Red Death game mode, right? So when I think of game
Oh,
modes, I don't
that
think of
was all the
scenario. I don't think of
preppers and stuff.
scenarios any right. So I don't think of scenarios anymore. So the Red Death is like it's a BR. It's a battle royale of Civ style,
Hmm.
right? So it's still turn based. It's still like you know civilization, but now it's the battle royale where you drop in, you have to collect resources or units. I get in this case it is, or you collect nukes and you try to be the last one to survive as the map closes in. Right, it's just your typical battle royale. It's actually not bad. It's pretty fun. It's quick. If you want like a half-hour game of Civ that you just want battles, you don't have to worry about building a civilization. It's pretty fun. It's really good at working at your battle tactics.
Okay.
Yeah, so like 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 if
Yeah.
you're gonna get nuked, you have to make sure you don't group your units and like but like before that you try to like surround them and like see if you can like swing around, right? Anyway, that's a game mode. It's not a scenario. So in my mind, these aren't scenarios like it is like the Black Plague or it is like the Three Vikings. Like these are
Yeah.
additional game modes, the entire game modes. So with the Apocalypse
Mm.
game mode, it could be just like the last person to just survive wins. It might not even be like eliminate the other people. It's just like just survive and that's it, right?
Oh, yeah, that's interesting take too. Yeah.
um
This,
Go ahead.
yeah, that would be pretty interesting. Yeah. Like it's just like, okay, this world's just basically going,
Yeah,
right?
like
And
it's crumbling like one piece at a
yeah.
time. It's like how do you adapt to a crumbling world, right? So like you have to maybe build these certain science stuff, or like you have to research terraforming or something, and like you have to
Hmm.
build farms on mountains, or you have to go launch your ship to Mars and like try to settle on Mars. Or maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the first one to settle on
You get like
Mars, right?
you get a great person, Elon Musk, he settles on Mars
That
for
would be
you. So
so funny. That'd be amazing. But Elon Musk is getting a lot of weird flack right now, so we'll maybe leave him out of it.
yeah.
But yeah, the
So
secret,
he's turning into a polarizing figure now all of a
right,
sudden.
right, yeah, true American, am I right, guys? Right. It's the secret, yeah, the Secret Society's game mode is interesting because we don't know what the heck it is, but there's also four new game modes that are going to be released throughout the whole year. So there's going to be six
Yeah.
brand new game modes, which blows my mind because all Civ was to me is just Civ. And now they're coming up with all these new game modes and whatnot. Like they're coming hard with new content, which also makes me believe that there's not going to be a Civ 7 for a while.
A while, yeah.
Right.
This means that they're investing in this current iteration of the civilization, which, to be honest, that may be like a. I know this is kind of off topic, and so we'll veer right back right after I say
It's
this
okay.
point. But it may be like the direction that a lot of games are going in now. Instead of doing full blown sequels, which takes a lot of money to develop a game,
Right.
but we're now at the hardware capabilities now where there isn't really a whole lot more bang for your buck to make a Civ 7 if you could just if you can now modify it in route, right? Like
Right.
StarCraft 2's battle engine or a game engine hasn't changed dramatically, but they just keep on building up updates for balance issues. And so there's not a whole point of making a whole new game. And so you can actually lengthen how long a game is out for.
But that also brings up the reason why that happens is because it's a competitive game, right?
Hmm.
So people don't want to learn a whole new game when it's super competitive, right? Like
Yeah.
people make a living off of StarCraft, people make a living off of Dota 2, right? And if you release a new game, it's like almost you're
You
throwing
lose
their
all you,
career away
yeah.
almost in a way. Like I don't if that makes sense, I guess. It does take a lot more resources to build a brand new game, and I'm sure Civ 7 is being made. So I looked actually at the length of time between Civ 5 and Civ 6 was 6 years. It was released in 2010, and then Civ 6 got released in 2016. So now it's been 4 years since Civ 6. So if we
Yeah.
kind of keep going by that timeline, then in 2022 we'll see a Civ 7. So even regardless of if they release this or not, I don't think we would have seen Civ 7 for a while.
Yeah, I
But
agree with
this
that.
definitely at least extends the time of Civ 6, and I think it's really good timing of with what they're doing because Civ 6 maybe is starting to get a little stale because what's the new expansion called?
Gathering Storm.
Gathering Storm has
Or
been out for a while. People have gotten used to it. It's a little like people have played it and whatever. So now it's like, okay, what's next? So instead of releasing an entire new expansion pack like they've normally been doing, oh, why don't we just release one thing at a time? Just like how every other game is doing it. Just like how Dota or League of Legends is releasing updates after update instead of just entire new games, like you said.
They're getting around the criticism of it being, because one of the biggest criticisms of downloadable content is cash grab, right? You don't give people all the big things at once because you just want them to keep buying. But the Premier Pass kind of bypasses that, saying, hey, basically this is an expansion, Premier Pass. It's this one amount of money that you have to pay, and you get access to all of it as it comes out.
Right.
All the downloadable content. And so it kind of gets away from that, or that criticism that, when people say like, I hate this stupid, buying stuff you have to get all the time for a game. Especially when that's played competitively and online, because then you have to have the same content as the other people usually play.
Well, the StarCraft was kind of good where it was like if you played with people, or even if you think you just played online, you're kind of allowed to go on. Like if you had Wings of Liberty, I think you can play online with like Heart of the Swarm and Legacy of the Void. Like I think you can play online.
You can't ladder though.
You can't ladder. Oh, okay. So I know that you couldn't play the campaign, and I guess you can't ladder. But you can play with friends. Like you can play custom games and everything, and you had access to everything, and like they were kind of good. Like that was a good way to release, I think, expansion packs. Is that you don't limit, like, you can still play the game, you can still play with friends, and like it's great. You just can't be competitive in it, which is totally fine. You can't play the campaign. Great. I think that's fantastic. The one thing that Blizzard does right, and in a lot of things, I think they did that right. And this one,
StarCraft has a special place in my heart. Right. So
right, and I think with here. Civ has had, like especially with Civ 6, it's been having a lot of flack on these not expansion packs, but like the DLC of like the new Civs, like with Australia and with Khmer and Indonesia, like the $10 or something like that for like 2 civilizations, and people were like losing their minds because it was like, I don't want to pay $10 for like 1 civilization or 2 civilizations, and I end up like not really playing them more than half of the time because you have to play only 1 civilization. And so like, why is it worth $10? It's true, I'm kind of with the side of the consumer on this one, where it's a little bit ridiculous, but like I get where the whole like pay for this kind of content comes from, but I feel like they could have held that back until an expansion. You know what I mean? Like they didn't have to release that.
The only positive to that is that it didn't break the game if you didn't get it. Right. Like it doesn't, like I never had any of that stuff, and I was able to play with you guys as long as I just didn't pick those civilizations that weren't available to me. Which now they are. I got all the stuff, so now I can do whatever you guys tell me to do, which is with the new free-for-all we're doing, right?
Yeah. No, it's so I think with games going, even like mobile games doing it all the time, all the battle royale games doing it with battle passes, and it'd be interesting if they have like some sort of compendium where you like level up, where like you play games and you unlock like these in-game achievements. So like not the Steam ones, but like in-game achievements where you get this in-game currency. Maybe there's like skins that you can put on, or maybe new colors or something for icons. Maybe a little bit weird because Civilization is kind of like try to be historically accurate as much as possible. So like having like skins and stuff, like I don't know if that'll be very popular.
Developers in that video, on the YouTube video where they announced the Premier Pass, did explicitly state that they were going to take some historical liberties with the new content. And so it may not be, it may, like, I hopefully they don't go too off the rails, and
I don't think it'll go too off the rails.
Don't make it as historically relevant as like the movie 300, which is not historically accurate like whatsoever.
Right. No, I don't think it'll go that bad. I don't think it's ever been that bad.
But they did say like there's these new Persona packs apparently that they're going to come out with.
Right. That's interesting. So we'll get into that a little bit later. I want to first talk about the Mayans, the Grand Colombians, Ethiopia, specifically the May pack first. So on May 21st, that's in 1 week. So in 1 week and 1 day, next Thursday, we're getting the Mayans and the Grand Colombians. So I did a lot of research into the Grand Colombians, mainly because I wasn't really familiar with who they were and what they did. So the Grand Colombians is Colombia. It's now the Republic of Colombia. However, they were much more dominant and much more of a power back in the day. So they were led by, and I think the leader of this civilization is going to be the first president, Simon Bolivar, right? He was the president of 3 countries at one time, which blows my mind. They named a country after him, Bolivia, right? It's insane. And then he was known as the Liberator, which is definitely going to be his leader ability, right?
Well,
like liberate city-states. Go ahead.
He's a playable general in Civilization now.
Is he? Is he a great general?
Yeah, he's one of the great generals. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he gives you +5 combat strength and +1 movement.
Oh yeah. Oh no, that's all great generals. But like, what's his like retire ability?
You get 2 envoys.
Okay, so that's the liberation part of it, I think.
And if you retire in a city, it grants it 4+ loyalty per turn.
Wow. Yeah. See, I think so. If he becomes the leader, I think the liberty thing he's gonna like generate more envoys, maybe per turn. If you like one, that seems kind of OP, but like generate more envoys, or he's gonna like kind of like Scotland, where he can like declare a war of liberation, like whenever on one of his allies, if the allies get taken, like that would be really
definitely gonna have something to do with city states.
Yeah,
like
no, 100%.
Yeah, he's got to have something to do with city states. That's for sure.
And then I don't know anything about like the special unit or the special building of what Gran Colombia could be. I maybe I can like look through it again, but as I looked
at it, there wasn't a whole lot available at the time. And Gran Colombia itself, it wasn't around like the longest time.
No, it was from
about a very, very specific point of history. I think it's like 20 years.
Yeah, 1819 to 1831. So pretty much like what is that? 11 years? 11 years. Not a long time. No, it's not 11 years. I'm sorry. Is it? No, it is. So Simon,
12 years.
How do you pronounce his name?
Simon
Bolivar?
Bolivar.
Bolivar. Yeah. He was basically president for the entirety existence of the Gran Colombia. So there's like no doubt that he's got to be the leader, right?
Yeah, I can't see him. I can't see it being anyone else.
I can't either. And so so if we go into like the special unit or the special building, right? I'm looking through the Wikipedia page right now, and I would have to be like libertist, federalist.
Maybe the Congress of Angostura. What might be the special district? It would be like kind of like maybe a government plaza, I guess.
Really? That would be interesting because there's not a unique one of those yet.
Yeah, it was where they founded the Constitution. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, with unit, it's hard. I don't know. I'd have to look into like the military. They had a really strong military. So I read with Venezuela, Colombia. Who else was in there? Argentina, kind of Ecuador.
Panama. Would be a crazy power for this country.
What?
Because of the way that Gran Colombia was structured was a central presidency, but had all these other little republics that had some sort of kind of like their own autonomy.
Right. That's kind of what I was thinking, but like that's a little bold, don't you think?
And so I think the crazy thing is if you became like the Solzerian of a city-state as Gran Colombia, they would act almost completely as your city. Like you can tell them what to do.
Okay. So did you play Civ 5? Did you ever play Venice in Civ 5?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
no,
so Venice.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, they can do that, right?
Venice, you were not allowed to build any settlers. You have one settler at the very beginning of the game, and that's all you have. But the trade-off is that you get double trade routes. So every time you earn 1, you earn 2. And so you get crazy amount of gold. And then you use the gold instead to buy city-states, right? And they become your puppet city. So they're part of your civilization, but you have no control over what they build, and they don't produce units. So it's like they build like imagine like they can build a library and they can build or like a campus district and they build a library, but you don't tell it when it builds a library, it just does it. right? Like maybe it determines it based off of the adjacency bonuses, and like whatever has the best adjacency bonus within its borders at this very moment, that's what it builds. So if there's a mountain, there's likely that it's going to be a holy site or it's going to be a campus. So it just builds a campus, and then it builds a library until it has enough population to build another district, and then it just builds another district, and it builds just more buildings and more buildings and more buildings. That would be interesting. That would be a cool thing to do.
Yeah, it'd be hard to have a centralized like plan though, right? When if you're joining for science or something like that. But that's one. I'm just looking at like about because this is a very short-lived confederation, right?
Right.
And you know, I can't think of like a specific unit that they would have other than
Revolutionaries.
yeah, like revolutionaries or like a special cavalry unit is usually what they would go by, right?
I don't yeah if I Google like Grand Columbia military, like I'm showing this like on stream right now, like the what I'm googling here, National Army of Colombia. Okay, let's just go for the National Army of Colombia, even if it's like oh here, Grand Colombia Pre-War. The Colombians were victorious on land with the crushing of the Peruvian invasion force of the Battle of Tarqui. Okay, so let's look at the Battle of Tarqui then, because this seems like an important thing. If we go here, the Ecuadorian army battle. There's nothing like I guess particular. Horse Grenadier. Oh, here we go. A Horse Grenadier. In honor of the Ecuadorian fallen of the Battle of the Presidential Horse Guard Squadron of the Ecuadorian Army has a nickname Tarqui Grenadiers. As a horse grenadier unit served with the Colombian army during the battle and was manned partly by Ecuadorian personnel. They wear a blue dress and uniform and carry lances. That's probably going to be it. So it's going to be it sounds like a ranged cavalry.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
A ranged cavalry probably in the industrial era.
Why? Because 1800s, I guess, right? Yeah.
And it's a grenader, right? Like it throws
grenades. Yeah. Well, yeah. So like a mounted musketman, I guess, is like kind of like what you would imagine that to be.
Yeah.
Like a cavalry. Like I think cavalry is basically like if you look at the cavalry, it's like a mounted musketman. So I guess it might replace the cavalry. And like
probably.
Yeah, there, dude, we got this right here. If we got this, I'm clipping this and I'm gonna show everybody like, yo, we just nailed the crap out of this just from doing a little bit of research. That's awesome. So Simon Bolivar, and then horse-mounted grenadier units.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A industrial era unit. And then their special district. I'm still gonna say maybe it's gonna be like a special government class.
I think that was a really good guess. Like I think that's really good. Yeah.
Just because of like, oh, and so we have someone in chat.
Yep.
Probably like the
Panusa
unique improvement.
Las Americas. Okay, let's take a look at this. In the colonies of the Spanish Empire is an estate similar to a Roman, I can't pronounce that word, latifundium.
Okay.
Privately owned land. So what would so plantations, mines, or factories. Oh, that's interesting. So then this would kind of imply like a little bit of an industrial thing. Maybe they can build on jungle. Maybe they can build a production or like, so lumber mills can be built on jungle tiles later in the game. Maybe they have either it's earlier or maybe they just make use of jungle tiles. Maybe it just gives them +1 production, right? Maybe they can build
encampments.
Maybe they can build encampments.
Yeah.
Huh. That's a good guess too. I think I like the government building though. I think that one's a bold one and I like it. I really like it.
Because I don't think they've ever done it before.
Yeah, because they never done it. So the only government like unique infrastructure is the Grand Chapel or some, I think it's called. It's from France. And it gives them like 4 great artworks, which is crazy good by the way. And like that's the only one they have for like a government building. So that I think that's a really good guess. But this is also a good guess of the Hacendia, I guess it's pronounced.
Yeah.
System of, it does say like it is a system of Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Guatemala. Like it's like specifically like right there. So
that is a good guess. And I think over under odds would be that our member in chat here is probably more right or more likely to be correct than me. Mine's more of a bold prediction maybe, just based on the history of the
Okay. I'm also
the
saying,
country.
so normally this was built on sugarcane, coffee, cotton, and other exported crops. So that's like a good guess, I think. This is a good guess too. So we're like maybe it can improve cotton, sugarcane, like luxury resources. Maybe like they can further improve luxury resources. How's it going, buddy?
Looks
We
like,
have another person here now. Hey, buddy.
hey, Zoe's joined us.
Hello, hello. I
Hello.
bet you guys are looking forward to me letting you know who the new Civ leader is going to be.
We just figured out Grand Columbia, I think. Like we just nailed everything about it. The unique unit, the unique building, the leader, which is pretty obvious that we feel.
You guessed it and then found out?
No, but we're guessing. So it gets announced May 21st, right?
Okay.
So
we got a week.
So here's we're gonna catch you up. So Grand Columbia is the only one we've touched on so far. We talked about like the apocalypse game mode and stuff like that too, where we think either it might be just whoever the last survivor is, not necessarily who kills the other people, just who's the last one to survive, or it's whoever colonizes Mars first. We're not sure. Then the secret societies, we have no idea what the hell that's going to be about. I thought it was going to be something about spies. Nystagmus thought it was going to be something about, remind me?
Like almost like a religion, but you can found secret societies like the Illuminati or the Freemasons.
Right.
And they may have like benefits or something like that.
And then something to note is that they say game modes, not scenarios. So a game mode like the Red Death was a game mode. It was completely different, right?
Okay, yeah. So
it
might be something more like maybe like War of the Roses.
I don't know what that is.
That's a kind of like a English conflict, kind of like a Romeo and Juliet thing. Romeo and Juliet's based on that between the Capulet and the Montagues.
Yeah,
where there's two families that fight each other basically.
Okay, that would be like two teams, essentially. Yeah. That's a good guess too. Okay.
Secret Society being teams, I think that's more. That sounds like it'd be a lot of fun.
Or what if it was like those like social experiment games or social deception games where like you're on a team or like so there's like you're on a team, you know who your partner is, but you don't know who the enemies are, kind of thing. So it's like there's 10 people and like there's 2 spies and the 2 spies know who each other are and nobody else knows who they are and they have to like guess who it is. If they could put that in a Civ game, I feel like that would be very challenging. But if they could pull it off, then like kudos to them.
Yeah,
because I think that would be cool too, and that would make sense as well.
That'd be like the game like Detective or something, right? Where like one person's job is to find out who's the murderer, and no one else knows who the murderer is except for the murderer.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta just interact with each other and basically.
That would be sick. That'd be so cool. Okay. Anyway, back to Grand Columbia here. We think the leader is going to be Simon Bolivar. He was the first president and pretty much the only president of Grand Columbia during their 11-year of reign. He was president for 9 of those years. He was also known as the Liberator. So he helped liberate, if I get this right, maybe Venezuela, Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Panama.
Yeah.
And then he was also the president of Colombia, one thing, and then Bolivia, which Bolivia was named after him. So he was that powerful, right? So this is like a no-brainer. This is 100%. This has got to be the leader, right?
Yeah.
And then with his Liberator nickname, we think it's going to have to do something with city-states, or we think that they're going to bring back puppet cities where you can. Kind of like liberate a city-state to be a part of. I don't know if that makes sense, but like they become part of your civilization, but you can't tell them what to build. They just build stuff, but they're part of your civilization.
Like a vassal.
Yeah. Well, do you remember puppet city-states in?
Vassal states.
Right.
Vassal states is what they're called. But yeah.
So we think that could be it.
Or they might do something that has to do with city flipping. Just like they did something with Eleanor, maybe it'll be something similar to that. Something to do with city flipping. Yeah, that could be interesting.
Okay, so we were basically done with Grand Columbia. So we still need to talk about the Mayans, and we still need to talk about Ethiopia.
I still think you're totally right about the special unit, by the way.
Oh yeah, the special unit being the Mounted Grenadier, which is something that apparently was a part of the Battle of Tarqui, which happened near Ecuador, and they built a statue to like say to like kind of as a reminder of this battle, and they built a horse grenadier unit that served the Colombian army during the battle. So and it was manned by Ecuadorians though. So it's interesting that like they always have this play of like different countries, right? That might be something too, where like they're like better with allies. They have better allied points, kind of like how like Gilgamesh has that and stuff, right? So we definitely think horse grenadier unit going to replace the cavalry unit, which is in the industrial era, which is the 1800s, which is when this civilization was dominant. There you go. That's the unique unit, and they're going to be called the Tarqui Grenadiers. That's
okay.
It. Yeah.
All right.
So what's do you want to move on to the Mayans? See if what we can nail out of those.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard for them because we just don't know so little about the civilization itself.
Right, but they were in Civ 5, and I don't
know
if
I think they're gonna do something like they did in Civ 5. They're gonna do something to do with calendars. They're gonna do something to do with eras. I bet you they'll have something like they get an extra bonus every era, no matter what. I wouldn't be surprised if something to do with Golden Age. I wouldn't be surprised. If they did that. There'll definitely be agriculture in there. I could see them having something like that they can affect pastures, or not pastures. Pastures though, or the not pastures. Plantations. So for spices and stuff like that might be interesting. So amenities, I could see something with amenities.
For why? Because the Aztecs do that?
No, I'm just because I was just looking today at the Wikipedia for the Mayan civilization.
Right.
So big on astronomy, big on math and the calendar and stuff like that. So something to do with the stars. So maybe they'll get access to something earlier than others get, but not from a navigation sense. Okay. So it won't be something for the stars where they get that they can go over the ocean. It'll be some other thing. So that got me thinking okay, well, what other texts are there linked to the stars, right? Other than there's astronomy, but astronomy doesn't do anything except give you, I think, a wonder and
palace or something like that.
and it's a prerequisite to something else.
Yeah, it's like a religious thing.
They might get a special ability, you get an era point for every certain amount of turns, like the Mayan calendar.
Could be.
That's what they had in Civ 5, right?
Yeah.
They had it so that it was every 394 years, a Mayan calendar. Which is interesting because early in the game, 394 years is 3 turns, but then later in the game it never happens. So they get a great person. They get an entire great person every 394 years. That was in Civ 5.
Here's my guess. Sorry to interrupt you, Moy.
No, go ahead.
Just all the thoughts in my head. Because just hearing what Renzo said, I could see that their special thing, the Mayan calendar, and it's that they get their own era bonus or own Eureka bonus throughout the entire game, no matter what age they're in. I could see them having just their own, do this and you get an era bonus. So you know how normally it's
era score.
So you know with the dedications you have every time the mid range trigger this and you get +1 era bonus.
Right.
I bet they're gonna have something like that throughout the entire game, and it'll be called the Mayan calendar, and it's a predictable way to get an era bonus.
Okay,
I bet you it'll be something like that. That's my guess.
That's a good guess.
That's my guess. It's something to do with era bonuses, some sort of consistency, and that consistency would lend to they were good timekeepers.
Well, what my idea was that every 390 years they would get an era score, which means in the early game you would get golden ages all the time.
Right.
Because you would get all this bonus era, but then later game you wouldn't, which corresponds to the height of the empire.
Who? There is a Civ that gets something for eras, right?
Colombia. Or not Colombia, I'm sorry. No. Georgia.
Georgia gets something, so they might do something like that too. That maybe they always get to make a +1 dedication.
I think maybe it might be attached to a Eureka, because I liked how you said it's something about science, and so it could be like every 10 turns or something, or 15 turns, they get a random Eureka within the era that they're in, or a random Eureka like the last technology research. So like if they're, for whatever reason, they say that they didn't research archery, but they went through the whole top tree, like boats, right? They have all these boats, and so like the Eureka would be the archer, because it's the last like technology. So like whatever they
that
are,
might be something that went like, would it be like when it's like a trigger, like when they get a Eureka?
well, like well, I was thinking every so often. So like
Or just
so like every calendar, Mayan calendar.
Right.
Either that, or it's gonna be something like they did in Civ 5, where it's gonna be extra great person points. I guess that might be in a building.
You know, it might also be neat. Because I was just thinking about weird civs like the Ottomans. I think are the ones that they get their own special governor, so no one else gets this governor. Yeah, there's one of them. I think it's the Ottomans. I'm pretty sure it's the Ottomans. They get their own special governor, a 9th governor. And I was like, well, maybe the Mayans might either have something to do with a governor, like the Great Timekeeper, something like that, or it could be that they get access to a special civic that no one else gets access to, but it'd be part of like the civic government tree. Like I could see something like that too, which would be an interesting twist. But yeah, like we don't see much stuff with governors.
I never knew that they got a unique governor.
Yeah, they get this. Like I want to be them. If I win this game, I'm gonna do something that involves the Ottomans, because I want to be them.
The Ottoman Empire, be hungry Ottomans, and like it's no Turkish, darn.
We could do a Middle East.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Arabia, the Ottomans. You could do the Greeks.
That's true. Okay. Let's
anyways,
let's kind of move on. From Mayan unit, the Civ 5, they replaced the archer. I think it's gonna be the same thing. I think they're not gonna change that. A unique building was a pyramid. It replaced the shrine. That might be changed. I do think the faith is not gonna go away. I think they're gonna be a science faith Civ.
Yeah.
Right. That's what they were in Civ 5. And I think it's going to continue. I think you brought up really good points about their science, but I also think that they're very, they were religious among, even though they were kind of like chaotic, but they worshipped, right, the sun god and stuff like that, right? They sacrificed to the gods, I believe, and so I think that faith will still play a strong role in the Civ 6 version of the Mayans.
I could see faith, but if it was, I don't know if it'd be religion. I could see it being something neat, like when they dedicate a pantheon, they get 2 pantheon abilities or something like that. Like I don't think they're religion.
Broken. I don't know about that.
No, that'd be super broken, but like,
or from breaking games in the past,
or it might be like when you choose a dedication. I could see it being pre-religion, but the other thing that I thought might be neat too, because they are like an older civilization, I think, right? Like I think 2000 BC.
They collapsed around 1000 AD.
Yeah. So okay. So what if their monument was different? So something right off the beginning that you have access to, as opposed to a shrine, the monument.
Okay, I actually found leaks of what the unit for Grand Columbia is going to be, and Mayans and stuff like that. So the Grand Columbians are going to be led by Simon Bolivar. That is, I think, confirmed.
All right.
We were right there. We don't know what their civilization ability is. Their unique unit is called the Lanero. Lanero. It is a horse. If you look it up, it is a. Okay, can you just get to the point here? It's a horse unit. I mean, it's not the Grenadier. but it is a horse unit. I don't know what it replaces though. It says it's a herder, so that confuses me. I now I'm confused.
Okay. Yeah, I was worried about it being a cavalry unit.
Yeah, the bulk of the cavalry during the war. Yeah, it's a cavalry unit. It's defeated the Spanish with a surprise attack when they crossed over.
Their specialty district. That's the one I'm looking for right now.
Right. So that one, the other guy actually got it right. It's the Hacendia. That is what the unique build is.
Good call.
It's tile improvement.
Aguthi.
Sorry.
That's a good call, man. Aguthi, or
Yeah.
is it our brilliant chat person who came up with that?
Yeah. He got it right. Maybe he looked at these leaks. They're on the Civ Wikipedia, so they're there. It is a tile improvement, so I think that it's going to make plantations better, or like it's going to make luxury resources better. The Mayans now, we don't know who they're led by.
Probably Pascal.
Probably we only know that their unique district replaces the campus, but we don't know anything else about them. So they they're going to be like the Koreans, where they replace the campus.
Okay.
So finally another science civ, actually, though, right? Because only Korean is like a science civ.
Actually, in Civ 5, their leader, he preferred a scientific victory.
He did. Yeah. He made unique tile things that gave them plus science.
Yeah.
So yeah,
so maybe they're going to be a science agriculture, I think. Science agriculture civ.
That would be a dream come true for me. I would, and then early like military.
And then we moved to ban Moy from ever being able to play them.
Oh no!
That's my food and science. Yeah, that's my guess.
Oh my gosh, that's a dream come true.
All right. Either food and science or something like adjacency bonus from like spices or like amenities. I don't know. Okay.
Let's do your prediction.
My prediction. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've narrowed it down, and I believe it's down to 1. I had 3, and then I narrowed it down to 1.
All right. So this is going to be one of the civilizations that have not been announced yet, correct?
Yes. This is the one that we know is a civ to an existing one, and I believe it'll be Kublai Khan of the Mongolians. That is my prediction. Kublai Khan of the Mongolians. My second runner-up guess, let me just look here, make sure I get the name right, is King Sejong of the Koreans. So that's my second runner-up
like
guess.
This same family.
So hold on, hear me out. Okay, so
okay.
So King Sejong was what, the wife of? I don't think so. I think they're unrelated.
Okay.
So I think it'll be Kublai Khan, and it'll be a take of military and culture, or it'll be King Sejong, and it'll be science and faith. But the faith will be something like defensive against other religions, if there's a faith thing. So his special ability might be that because he was renowned for he invoked Confucianism and like got rid of like Buddhism and Muslim and all of this stuff. Like he fought against the spread of other religions. So I think we'll have a science religious faith. And the last possible maybe might be Big Bear of the Cree, but I'm pretty sure it's Kublai Khan. Pretty sure it's Kublai Khan, and we're going to see a military culture civilization leader.
Yeah, there hasn't been one that was. Oh no,
Not
I guess
really.
the Greek. The Greeks are kind of like a military culture.
A little bit, yeah. a little bit, but that's what I think. Now you're asking Lorenzo, how could you possibly know
that? Yeah, how could you possibly
how
know
could
that?
you possibly make this?
Dude, do you know people at Firaxis? They're just like you're constant contact with, like, hey man, give me the deets.
I talked to the ancient Mayan scribes of the great celestial eternity, and they were able to reveal to me. No, I just noticed the triple asterisk on one of the promotions,
right?
And it said that you must have specifically the Rise and Fall expansion for this.
Okay.
So I'm basing it on that. Why would we need the Rise and Fall civilization for that, unless it was that bonus leader was for one of the civilizations presented in Rise and Fall. And in Rise and Fall, we got the Cree, we got the Dutch, we got Georgia, we got a new India, we got Korea, we got Mapuche, we got Mongolia, Scotland, and the Zulu. And among those, really, like,
Yeah.
Scotland, like, yeah, that's a token civ. Mongolia is a major one, though.
Wow, you just
Kubla,
probably made a whole lot of Scottish upset.
Kubla Khan was a big
Canada,
leader.
man. Like,
Korea, well, I'm saying, like, for empire building, like, powerful civilizations, Scotland isn't exactly known for its, massive empire. It's a great civilization, right? So
the case, Sherlock.
Of those top three, those were leaders that I'm like, okay, these are like kind of prominent. Like the Netherlands, like they could do. I think they had William de Orange was the Netherlands in Civ 5 or 4.
I don't know.
But obviously it's not India. That would be nuts. That'd be nuts. We're gonna give India three leaders. I think the most likely one is Mongolia. I think it's the most likely one, and we'll see Kubla Khan.
Yeah,
so that's my prediction.
I think Korea is also a good guess too, though. Korea has a lot of history, right?
And I know we were chatting a little bit before the show and stuff like that. I think you're also right about. I think you're right that Russia and America are probably going to get new leaders as well.
Right.
Just to kind of flesh out them, because like right now America has Teddy Roosevelt, and Russia has Peter the Great. I would assume that they would steer away from any 20th century Russian leader like Stalin, and probably go more with like Ivan the Terrible, as opposed to like anything more contemporary. But
I think what you're going to actually see is that they tweak Teddy Roosevelt. I don't know if they're going to add a new leader. I think they're just going to modify him.
That was with the Persona pack. So we do want to get into that. I know Nystagmus was excited to talk about that. So that's a good transition into that. So let's go talk about these Persona packs.
The one thing I was looking at was that the amount of information we have on them is limited. And so it can be anyway from just being kind of cosmetic versus actually far more substantial.
It does say that they get a new look and new abilities. So I think they're going to get a new leader ability, right? Just like how like India has like 2 leaders for 2 new abilities. They're going to just kind of have a new ability, but it's the same leader, right? And from what I read, it's going to also like change their agenda. So,
and you know what I would like to see? I'd like to see leaders have also special units. So like Teddy Roosevelt, I really want to see.
Queen Victoria does with the redcoats, right? Like the other girl can't. Eleanor can't get redcoats.
Yeah, she can't. She doesn't get redcoats. They both get sea dogs, but only one gets the redcoat.
Yeah.
Okay.
So leaders can. Every leader gets an ability, and that ability can include a unit.
Yeah, I just want to see like maybe America gets the Rough Riders. That'd be kind of cool.
Was Hungary part of Rise and Fall?
No.
They're part of Gathering Storm?
I think so.
Okay. So with these Persona packs, it says, IGN says they will retool the leaders with a new leader model and background, plus new gameplay bonuses and an updated agenda. So it honestly sounds like it's just almost a brand new ability, right? Like a brand new leader, but it's just the same leader. So Teddy Roosevelt's new Persona is called Rough Rider Teddy. That's the only real like thing that they give you. It excels at keeping the peace on his home continent.
Oh, okay. So loyalty probably bonus.
Keeping peace, right? It might not necessarily. It might mean loyalty, but I think he already has something. I believe that kind of like is bonus war if it's on his home continent, right? Am I wrong? So you played. America, right?
It might be something like if I don't know, maybe if someone declares a surprise war on you, or maybe like you get a attack bonus, and it would deter people from attacking you. It can't be you can't declare war. That's Canada, right? So it might be.
That's our thing, man. That is our thing.
Yeah, maybe what they did was they added bonuses for trade with civilizations that are on your continent, because that would encourage you. So if it was a civ or a city state, and it gave you a bonus if it was on your continent with trade, that would give you incentive not to attack them and to want to keep the trade lanes open. So I could see something like that. Maybe they have something like if you have open borders with somebody on your home continent, there's a movement bonus.
So
yeah, I'm not sure.
I didn't actually know this. So when you play Teddy Roosevelt, you get 2 units. So you get the P-51 Mustang, but you also get the Rough Rider unique unit. So the Rough Rider is a unique heavy cavalry unit.
I am not good at this game.
Yeah, I never played American, to be honest with you, so like I didn't know this. But it is a unique unit. So with the persona being called Rough Rider Teddy, I guess, and it excels at being better at home continent, and the fact that Teddy Roosevelt gets +5 combat strength bonus on his home continent, I honestly don't know what different this is gonna be. Like I don't understand.
Without it being OP.
I could see it being something like it's an attack bonus on your home continent within yours and ally territory as opposed to an enemy territory. I could see something like that.
What if it was like you kind of know how like America, like when America goes to war, they're usually not alone. Like they usually bring Canada or like someone in, right? So what if it was like when you declare war on America, you have to go to war with someone else too.
The last 15 years notwithstanding.
Okay. But. Yeah, sure. But like, I mean, that would be interesting, I guess. I don't know how.
Maybe they can force a peace treaty on you if you're on their home continent.
No, that's way too crazy. That's way too crazy.
Maybe they get some kind of reverse Cassiabelli that they can use once or something.
Maybe they can ask for peace or sue for peace sooner.
Well, it says keeping the peace. So from the words of excels at keeping the peace, I would think that it's something that prevents you going to war with him. Maybe people on his home continent can't declare surprise war. So like with Canada, nobody can declare a surprise war. But maybe with America, it's like people who are on his continent can't declare a surprise war.
Now, are they gonna have a buggy thing where like if I just settle a city on his continent, now I suddenly can't declare a surprise war?
Could be where your capital city. Could be where your capital city is. Okay. That would be how I would do it as a programmer, right?
Or we have a game where there's 2 continents, but the one continent is like a single tile.
Oh, or we have a game where there's one continent. Yeah, yeah, like how we had the other game we had with when I played England. Oh, it's terrible. Still won it though. And then with Catherine's France, with Catherine's new persona, it says this one I think is pretty obvious. It's Magnificence Catherine, and they could use luxuries to overwhelm the world with culture and tourism. So that one to me sounds like for every luxury resource, it generates culture and tourism just like a great work does, and also the bonus that Eleanor gets when they have like ±1 loyalty to other people with every great work. I think with every luxury, maybe every unique luxury, but with every luxury, they're gonna generate minus loyalty to surrounding civilizations.
That would be OP.
I don't think it would. I think it'll
again. So already it's OP against the computer the way it is now.
I guess, yeah.
Right, like that's kind of OP. I'm just gonna say because you're gonna get and there better be like a stacking resource like modifier.
No, you're probably right. So I misread it, I think. So when I heard overwhelm the world with culture and tourism, when I heard overwhelm, I'm like, oh, loyalty. But now that I kind of read it, even just generating culture and tourism from luxury resources, I think that's good enough. You know? Yeah.
If you get minus loyalty on top of that, that's just like no. That's an insta ban. No one's allowed to play that leader anymore.
Right. But go ahead.
Oh no! This is a totally curveball.
Okay, so it's interesting. Like, do these count as like new leaders? I guess like does America have like 2 leaders technically because it's like 2 different leader abilities and 2 different agendas, right? It's like having like in India you have 2 leaders, or America you have 2 leaders, but it's the same leader.
It's an update. I think they just took these 2 leaders and they were like, okay, we're gonna tweak them, and that's likely because they know of things to come in the future, and they're gonna reflect that. So they're just preparing for that. That's what I think.
So you think it's just a complete revamp, not necessarily like a pick and choose of which one, right? It's just a complete.
I think they revamped them because something maybe something about maybe if we looked at them, maybe there's something about their mechanic that won't work soon, or won't interact well with another new Civ that's coming in.
That would actually have a really
modification.
Yeah, that would have a good explanation. Also, why it's called Rough Rider Teddy, because they didn't mention, like, recalling it Rough Rider Teddy makes sense. He has the unique Rough Rider ability, and then I think they're gonna really like hone in on that unit of like, and that unit is better on their home continent.
And his skin is probably going to be like him on a horse.
And that's Rough Rider Teddy is his name. So
I think that's just going to be that's what the
I think it's
is going to be called.
He's always going for peace, but if you bring war to my doorstep, I'm going to show you a me that you have not seen.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're saying. That like I love you, you're my friend, but if you betray me, ho ho.
Speak softly and carry a big stick.
Yeah. I think that's what we're going to see.
That's a good prediction. Go ahead.
Here's the curveball I'm going to throw.
Okay.
And it just occurred to me that Civ can be a little. They can throw a few curveball as where we're assuming that when we see 2 new Civs, 2 new leaders, that it's going to be a new Civ and a new leader, a new Civ and a new leader. They could make it that one of the existing Civs that we have, one of the existing leaders, gains access to a Civ, so they could have that now. So say they have. So this would.
I get it, but like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I know that would be crazy, but I don't know if it would work at all. But it might. You might look and might be. Is there another Eleanor there? Is there someone who technically was the leader of 2 nations?
Well, that would be Simon Bolivar, right?
Yeah,
because he was so crazy. He was a part of so many different civilizations.
I could see them doing something where they say, by the way, this is Teddy Roosevelt leading the Chinese. Like that's not what it's going to be. That's a horror. Like that's like obviously, but something along those lines where we're going to see an existing Civ leader change and have this is them if they were taking control of the Civ. So and if we saw that would open a slot where like we could see a new civilization enter, and that new civilization ends up being controlled by an existing leader, right? So it could go both ways. It could go both ways.
That's very true. So
it wouldn't be a new leader. It would be now we have America. This is a different type of America with, and I'm just trying to think of who, if they've done anything like that, whether it's like Eleanor. Yeah.
Right.
So we'll see. Like Eleanor, they could release another. What was the leader you said?
Simon Bolivar.
Simon, okay. So Simon Bolivar was a leader of more than one Civ. So they could release a Simon Bolivar who's also the leader of Brazil.
Okay, he was Colombia, Ecuador, Bolivia. Those are the 3 that he was really a part of.
Panama as well, I think.
But I think that'll be interesting. I think that they could throw us a curveball and we end up getting a new Civ. It's just that Civ is being led by an existing leader, so it's not that leader ability is not going to change. Like the leader's ability is going to stay static. It's just now they've been attached to this new civilization.
Yeah.
So exactly. Hard to find legitimate places to put that, though, right?
I don't know. Like if you looked, you'd have to look through all the existing leaders and be like, was this person in fact an Eleanor? And if they were, then there you go.
You have to remember too, right? Like the Eleanor and things with England and France, that's a pretty unique situation. Like there was a period in time when England was technically the sovereign of England was technically the sovereign of most of France,
right?
And that was before Joan of Arc kind of helped liberate the French,
right?
And so I don't know how, I'm trying to think of in my head in the vast areas of where I'm looking at ancient history and stuff where that happened before.
They could have done something, and they won't because this would have been highly controversial, but they could have done something like an English leader in control of India.
Montezuma, actually. I remember I'm reading about Montezuma, where he got and brought peace to a lot of land, a lot of nations, right? And he united them. I think that if it is, it could be that, but I'll check that while you say your point. Sorry.
They can introduce a new civilization with a new leader who can also take control of an existing civilization. So an example would be they can use a Byzantine emperor, bring him in, and that emperor can also be the leader for Rome.
Yeah. Like, I don't think they'll do that too often because it kind of, but it is something that they could do. Like, it is something that, and you'd maybe be surprised if you looked over some of the existing civilization and you're like, yeah, that would work. That would totally work. I
honestly think when we're talking about like new leaders and stuff, I my top ones for current like new leaders and stuff. I think like some of the ancient civilizations we're going to get new leaders. Like I think Rome's going to get one.
Okay.
Right. That's one.
You think it's going to be just like Julius Caesar? Like just kind of keep it easy?
Or Augustus.
Okay.
Or Constantine. You know, one of the famous kind of emperors.
There's so many.
Wasn't Constantine the Byzantine? Like, isn't the Byzantine an empire now? I can't remember. Or
not in Civ 6 and Civ 5.
No. Okay. All right. Yeah.
See,
all right.
Historically, it's kind of a contentious issue because like the Byzantines never called themselves that. Like that's a name we gave them. They called themselves Romans until the civilization fell.
Right.
Like they considered themselves the true Romans. And so like we're saying, no, you actually weren't. You were the other Romans that we're going to give another name to. So it's kind of weird to like have them both in, but it was in Civ 5. They did have Justinian, he was someone who he almost reunited the empire 100 years after the Western Empire fell.
Right.
So that might be like an interesting play, but I'm trying to think of other civilizations they may add.
Back to Montezuma. So he maintained an alliance with his nearby neighbors, the Tlacopan and the Texcoco, which I've never heard of them, but there was a triple alliance, and they dominated all of their neighbors.
That's
pretty much
essentially what the Aztecs are, though. So that is the Aztec Empire.
I figured like that. Like, so like I'm like I don't think it's them. Yeah.
To answer Renzo's question, I think if we go to Civ's history, we'll see like I think I could see Babylon being brought into it. So Canada was once a city, like Toronto.
But they were a city state in Civ 5, not in Civ 6. They were never a Civ.
Babylon was they were a civilization in I think Civ 1, Civ 2, back when it didn't like it was just a name. It didn't give you any. I think
Civ 4.
Maybe Civ 4 but Civ 4 had a lot of civs. So yeah, I think Babylon, because they're the ones they've just introduced are newer. They're like 17th, 18th century, I think. Like Ethiopia, I know is an older African empire. Colombia, though, that's new. That's like
that's brand new. Yeah, brand new
colonization.
And then Ethiopia was in Civ 5 as well.
Yeah, but you have to remember the leader they chose for Ethiopia in Civ 5 he died in the 20th century.
Really?
Yeah.
He
died in 1975.
If we looked at like the current model, I'm guessing they try to balance it. They try to have the a plethora so that it's not so like Western centric of what do we know of as civilizations, right? They bring up ones that are kind of obscure, right? That it's like, oh yeah, that maybe you're more European ones. Well, no, let's do make sure we have like 5 colonization civs for North America and a bunch for South America too. Like, I like that. Sometimes they present civs that you wouldn't get. I wouldn't have guessed Colombia.
No,
if you were to say, hey, which civs, they're going to introduce 3 new civs. Which ones do you think? Maya might have been on there. I would not have guessed Colombia. I would not have guessed Ethiopia.
Well, they've been in the past, so like I get it, right? But I want to get into a little final statement here because we're running out of time. Let's predict one new civilization. I'll give you guys time to think about it because I thought about this. A new civilization who's going to be introduced in one of the future release updates. One that came to mind was for me Cuba. I think I was thinking that Chigarva, or I don't know how to pronounce his name, but the obvious leader would be Che something. I don't remember his name.
Oh, Che Guevara.
Yeah, Che Guevara. I think that one's like kind of an obvious choice of like I know like he's like controversial, but like so was Genghis Khan, right? And he's in there. And so like I feel like it's like a no-brainer that they would have him as a leader, and then their special ability would be to like, if you declare war on him, that he's gonna like mess you up. Kind of the same thing as like Teddy of like, you don't do that. But he's gonna be like a military prowess, I believe. That's my prediction in one of the 12 civilizations that are going to be released in the new year. I do think Cuba will be one of those. If you're in chat and you want to predict with us, go right ahead. Does anyone else have anything else in mind? I guess I maybe took yours, Nystagmus. I apologize for that one, but
I was also along the lines of when we were chatting before. I agree with Argentina.
Okay.
I think Zoe has a good point. I think they're going to move away from, we have enough European-centric civilizations at the moment, right? We have Poland, Hungary, right? All these ones. And so
England, France, Scotland, Norway,
right,
Sweden.
Right. And so I think it's a good idea for them to kind of, shake things up a little bit with, as long as it also gets people going, oh, maybe I should learn about that. I think that'd be a good idea too. That's me being a nerd, but regarding like which ones they should choose, but I think Argentina is a good choice too.
Yeah, I think they're definitely missing Americas, so I think targeting South America is a pretty safe bet. They only have Brazil.
Other than that, or like the Hawaiians, right? Like
well, they already have
Maui and they're New Zealand kind of thing, right? But like they're like the Aboriginals of New Zealand. That's the Maui. But I guess you can kind of count that as Hawaiian. They had Polynesians before as well.
Yeah.
The Inca would be good for South America. The Incans are already in the game, my friend. They were part of one of the expansions. I believe it was Gathering Storm. The Incans are there. So
the Incans are there.
Yeah.
If I were to hazard a guess, I actually do think it's going to probably end up being European-centric, one of the new ones. I would put it between Portugal,
good guess,
and maybe the Celts, not Scots. The Celts.
They were in Civ 5. So.
They had Boudica, yeah. So like I could see that.
And Portugal would be
I think Portugal is the most likely one.
And it's also the one where you said for your theory, Portugal and Spain used to be a combined kingdom.
Yeah, they did once upon a time. So it may be even that there's a leader presented that it's Spain, but it's Portugal or something like that.
What if there's like a Czechoslovakia or something?
Maybe like they could do something from the Balkans. Might be interesting. One of the older ones.
Okay.
Like we have Estonia now, right? I think, right? We have Estonia.
Not in the game, no. We don't.
No, isn't Alexander the Great of Estonia? Oh, Macedonia.
Yeah, Macedonia.
So like I could like the Baltics have there's some old civs there, right? Like old like it is an old or even hell they could do Judea, they could do Israel, like, or something like that. Like
we were saying that before, actually.
Yeah.
Before the show, where that it's going to be like Jordan or Israel, and like as a joke, I said Jesus Christ is going to be the leader, but you know who I really think it's going to be though. Next civilization. I think Mexico is up there.
No.
Yeah.
Go for it.
No. Quebec.
What about
Quebec? Yeah. Okay.
What about the Huns?
They were in Civ 5. Attila the Hun was in Civ 5. That's a good guess too, actually. I think
the Huns. Yeah, the Huns. Mexico's actually not a bad guess.
Yeah, America's not European centric, right?
Like we have like there's North American, we have South America. We don't have a lot of. Do we have any Central American representation? Like,
well, Grand Colombia is like sort of like a little bit in Central America, right? They extend upwards into Central America.
The Aztecs are the only ones, really.
Yeah,
I could see Mexico. I could, Mexico or Portugal. I think I could see those being two big contenders.
I guess Mexico would be like what Franco.
I'm
maybe
so unfamiliar with
I guess
they could even do something like Brazil gets a Portuguese leader, right? Because I believe Brazil's a Portuguese colony,
They
right?
had, like Texas.
Yeah.
Bold
Texas was
move.
like their
Maybe. What about South Africa? Do you think they'd get like a civ?
I don't think so. I
No,
was
they're
thinking
not.
about that. I was like, no, I don't know if they'd do anything that's like
You know what? We're missing Italians here, though.
they have the Romans. They could do the Italians. They could do Italian.
who would
Like
be
I guess
you
I guess
you gotta
you're right.
remember that. Yeah, like some of these
Yeah.
civilizations, it's just different points of history,
Yeah, I'm
right?
dumb. I'm
Like,
sorry. My bad.
but yeah, the Italians are Rome.
They're
Like,
represented. Yeah, they're
They're
represented.
not getting Mussolini or anything.
No. Darn. I'm waiting for the day to put Hitler in the game too. No.
Obvious.
He was in one of them, wasn't he? He was in like Civ 4 or something like that.
In Civ 2, they had an official World War II mod where it was Chancellor Adolf Hitler and relieving the Germans.
Right, and there was a point Astagmus wanted to make, and that'll be our last point. Go ahead. You can have the glory for this one.
Which point was
The guy who made a comment about declaring a world war.
Oh yeah, I thought that was a really interesting. So in the YouTube video that when they announced the premiere pass, someone wrote in saying they wanted a kind of a game mode where if enough civilizations in the game were at war, it would trigger a world war, and the remaining civilizations would have to pick a side and join.
Dude, that would be so
or face some
cool.
sort of penalty.
That'd be like as an emergency or something like that. I could see that being.
Yeah.
really
Punishment
cool.
punishment would have to be severe enough that would, like, I guess the example would be if you trade a lot with someone on one of the sides, that you would get a lot of like unrest in your cities if you just didn't help them in the war, right? Like, or some sort of like unrest or decreased production.
You know what's funny? This thought that you've now just put into my head. You guys mentioned the secret societies. The secret societies might be that you can change agendas because they're putting more emphasis now, and they're saying
maybe.
they're saying government, like, they have agendas, leaders have agendas. Only work against the computer.
Yeah, it's only against
But
the
if you had the secret society was, you change their agenda, but that, who knows? Like, they could change the nature of agendas. That if you do things contrary to your agenda, maybe you get penalties. I don't know, or maybe amenity bonuses or something. But
that would be cool, and I really like that idea.
I could see that, and that came from the idea of voting for a world war. It's like, oh, what if you could change their agendas? And that was what a secret society was. Is that we're trying to change the agenda of the civilization. That's essentially a secret society, right?
It's funny that that guy said that though, because remember what I wanted to implement in the Civ show, where I wanted to declare if someone was a warmonger. Basically, I don't know if I told you this a second, but with four players, if somebody was kind of like being a bully, normally what I do, right? If someone was being a bully, there could be one person who could declare like he's a warmonger, and like this would be like an in-house rule where if one person declared that someone is a warmonger, then the next person, it's kind of like a round table thing of like he agrees or disagrees. So if he agrees that he's a warmonger, he gives a reason. It would go to the last person, and if they agree that they're a warmonger, all three of those people have to declare war on that person who's a warmonger, and so and then it just kind of goes from there. And it's interesting that they would say like this World War thing, because like I don't know, like I think it's a really good idea, because I thought that warmonger thing was a good idea too, right? So
yeah,
I think it's be really cool. Okay, hold on. Before I forget. And then it'd be cool if we maybe in the future implemented some of these in-house rules to give ideas, or maybe even try out ideas for future Civ updates. Think that would be cool. Anyway, continue.
That would be cool.
Sorry, Teddy Roosevelt just thought of it. Teddy Roosevelt, they'll add that he gets a vote, just like how the Dutch or whatever get the special vote. Or who is it? Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
Sweden gets a special thing that they could do. Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll do that for the Americans, that they get a special agenda that they can add to World Congress.
Maybe. All right, Nystagmus.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Nystagmus.
Double interrupt.
No, I just thought it would be cool, like where if they formalized alliances more, so that it would be like a pretty solid alliance where attack on one person would make the entire alliance. Like kind of like how World War I happened.
It's you could. Within a military alliance, I think that's a thing. Like it's kind of like if you declare war on one, you declare war on the other one.
I know, but make it so that it's really beneficial to do it, and like make it so that like if you do it, then all your trade routes get like plus 100% gold or something like that between the two allies. And it makes people split up into these factions.
Yeah.
Right.
So all they need to do for that is allow you to have more than one ally, because in the ally you can only have one of each type.
Yeah.
Maybe now they're saying you can have like 5 all the same.
Or maybe there's like a new ally thing that stands all of them. That says basically, formal military economic alliance where all your trade routes have to be with each other. You basically share all resources. It gives you huge boosts in productivity and production.
Like
so just make it so that it's so advantageous to do it. So
everybody has to pick an ally somehow.
Yeah, everyone does it, and then if
that'd be cool.
Two of them declare war on each other, the whole thing falls apart.
But then it gets weirder when there's an odd number of players, right? That gets weird.
But make it so that you can have more than just one member.
Yeah, but then.
Okay. Right? You can have like a 5-player game where it's like 2 members with 3 other members who are part of their own alliance.
I think that's where it gets weird. But I like the idea. It's just like the execution wise, if I was to come up with rules and stuff with it, that's where it gets weird. Is when there's 3 people, there's 5 people, and if you buddy with one person, then once the one person's either screwed because he's gonna lose in a military war, or he's screwed because he's gonna lose in an economic war, right? Like, what's a man to do? And then the counter is that if for a 3-man alliance, then you have 3 people joining in on that thing, and that's even crazier because it's 3 people sharing resources potentially, and it's just it might be a little strange. I like the idea. I just don't know how they're going to execute it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not something that they're going to do. It's something that'd be cool if they figured out how to do it and not break the game.
Right. right. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, just the more I'm thinking of the idea of a secret society, the more I'm thinking that about either influencing agendas or influencing civs. I think you might be right about the vassal thing. That it might be that you can cow a smaller civilization and say, listen, you can't declare war on me. You don't get that choice. And I set your civic agendas or something like that. Everything short of controlling your civilization. I could see that. And it was actually a kind of fun quality of Beyond the Civ 4. Yeah, Civ 4 had the vassal states. I think you might be right, Moy. I think it might be vassal states.
Yeah,
is what the secret society
I think they'll bring that back because that was so unique. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like you're being run by a shadow government, right? It's like, no, we're totally us. Sorry, what would you say?
So you would be the would you be the
you're the man behind the you're the man behind the curtain. So if you're the bigger empire and you've got them as your vassal, it'd almost be like they're your Caesarian, but they're a civilization. Like it's that you get a civilization into Caesarianship. And it's that you're running. That's the secret society.
Okay,
you're running their government, and that's what your secret society is.
So what if it flipped and you were the little guy and you had to meet objectives of a bigger leader?
So if you were the
3 archers right now.
If you were the human player and it was the computer player doing it, it would be that you can't set your policies, you can't declare war on it,
yeah, that would
and
be
there's
so cool.
things you would need to do in order to break free of that. And it would likely be diplomatic. Or you might be able to still get other people to declare war on them, and just not attack you. So there might be a war type that's you can't declare war on them, but when everyone declares war on them, their units, you agree they can move through your territory, and as long as they don't attack you, or they can't even attack you.
Yeah, and
right?
The objective is to start a revolution, like a coup.
It could be something like, and I think that things like that will make the game, especially because if that worked in multiplayer, we have a game where you take me over and okay, now I'm dead, and maybe there's a way for him to shadow government.
Yeah, that's so awesome. That is so awesome.
We'll see.
I love that. Okay,
that's my guess.
That's a good guess. Anyway, let's wrap it up now. I think we've been talking a little too long.
I'm sorry I was late.
It's been a great conversation. Though a lot to talk about, even a lot to talk about next week because we barely even scratched the surface in this new Frontier pack that will be released on May 21st. Is when the Grand Columbia and the Mayans and the Apocalypse game mode is coming out. We cannot wait for that to come out. We will for sure be streaming that on the following Sunday.
It comes out on a Thursday, so we'll be streaming it on.
We'll be there on the
24th,
Sunday, baby.
Yeah,
for sure. We
Yeah.
can find our main show, The Civ Show, here on our Twitch at The Civ Show. We're on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can convert that to your own time zone if you'd like, Eastern, North America time zone. Yeah, we'll be here Sunday at 7 p.m. Be sure to give us a follow. We're also on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at The Civ Show. You can follow Nystagmus at, where can they follow you?
I don't have a.
He doesn't have any. You can follow Raising Zozo at.
Follow me here. That's the place to find me.
Follow him there, and you can follow me at Moisauce on pretty much all social platforms. We'll tune in on Sunday. We'll hope to see you there. Thanks, guys, for coming out. Really appreciate it. And next Wednesday, we'll have more conversations on the new Frontier pack. Until then, we'll see you on Sunday. See you later, guys.
There, guys.
Good night.